Or we just
like to do is real quickly welcome everybody. Thank you for joining Plano West Rotary Club. We've been doing Zoom for a while and we will continue doing Zoom meetings. We just decided as a board until the end of June. And so then hopefully July, we might be able to do like a drive-in basis and transition. We're still working out the details like everybody else in the world. So thank you. I'm Alex Johnson. I am our president-elect. John Costas, our president, he had an emergency situation, so he asked me to hop in. So I will be president July 1st, and Michelle Thornton was our president last year, and her husband Glenn was the president before that. The majority of our club has been past presidents, so we have a lot of Rotary knowledge and leaders, so it's an exciting group to be in. What I wanted to do before we start our program, which we're going to do about 12, is just because we have a lot of guests, our process says we're going to do a quick icebreaker, kind of have everybody quickly say something about themselves, and then we're going to do a prayer, and then we're going to do a pledge, and then we're going to go ahead and have our speaker talk for about 20 minutes, and she's got a great message for us to hear, and then afterwards, we're going to go ahead and present our award, our donation to Barron Elementary, who is a group that we love dealing with all the time. And then for the teachers that want to go, you could take off, and then we're going to do some club business towards the end till 1. So our meetings are 12 to 1, in and out. If you're at a physical meeting, people start walking out the door at 1 o'clock because they have to go back to work. So you guys should know there is Sarah Watkins, Plano Senior High School principal. She's a member of Plano Rotary. And before her, Doyle Dean was a member of Plano Rotary as well. So they're both very active in Rotary. So we would love if Barron Elementary would be a member of Plano Rotary. That would be great too. So with that, let's do a quick little icebreaker. Because we have so many guests, can you just say who you are and what your name is? We're going to kind of keep it simple like that. Alex Johnson, I am the current president-elect for the Plano West Rotary Club. So everybody just speak up.
I'm Shirley Hu. I am with Plano Metro Rotary Club.
welcome.
Thank you.
Glenn Thornton, past president, Plano West.
Roger Libby, resident speaker.
I'm Calvin Berkeley, the assistant principal here at Barron Elementary.
Hi,
Welcome.
Hello, how's everyone?
Hi, I'm Trisha Lancaster, the principal of Barron Elementary.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Carter. I am the PE coach at Barron Elementary.
Hi, I'm Mia Duval, and I am a school counselor at Barron Elementary. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Josh Nunley. I'm the social worker at Barron Elementary.
Any more Rotary Club members want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I will. I'm Dick Rentola, treasurer, Plano West Rotary.
My phone's been cutting in and out. Can y'all hear me? I'm Michelle Thornton. I have enjoyed working with the Barron team, both at the Balloon Festival the last probably 3 years and coming out for your lunches, because I've been a member for about 4 years. So it's great to have you guys, and we look forward to supporting you guys as soon as possible.
Steve Lawton, past president of Plano West Rotary.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, you, Mida.
I'm Yomida England. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to introduce myself.
Go ahead.
I'm Yomida, and I've been at Barron for 6 years now, in Plano for 21 years, and I worked closely with Steve's wife, Janice. She's one of my BFFs. So thank you for having me today.
Hello, I'm Ike Olson. I'm with Plano West Rotary, and I've visited Barron Elementary along with the other friends here from Plano West. Nice to have you all here. Good morning.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Floyd, we see you there. You can't be silent.
Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, well, I'm Doug Floyd. You look pretty relaxed there on your patio there, Doug. Well, I'm
Yeah.
out watching my granddaughter swim. So, it's the most work I'm going to do all day.
What a nice life.
It's the advantage of Zoom meetings. We can get other stuff done while we're meeting.
Yes.
Jim and Tom Posey, introduce yourself, please.
Jim, you're on mute.
Jim, you're on mute. I'll unmute him.
Hello?
Now I can hear you.
There.
Okay. Jim Frankenfield, member, Plano West.
Awesome. Mr. Posey, let's see. I unmuted you. Well, Tom Posey happens to be the founder of our club
Okay.
of 42 years ago. So, and he's probably one of the most active members of our club. So it's pretty, and here we have Clarence. When I sent you a message, when I texted you and sent you a chat message, can you take a look at it, please?
Yes. Yes, I can speak at 12:30.
Okay,
no problem.
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, welcome everybody. What we're gonna move it around a bit because we have such an amazing group from Barron Elementary. So Wynn has agreed to speak later, then starting at 12:10 as we planned. So Michelle, would you like to talk about why we have so many people from Barron on and how much they mean to us?
Yeah, I think we should let Steve do that. Steve's our Barron liaison now, but I will support him when we get to the presentation. How about that, Steve?
Works for me. I'd like to welcome the leaders of Barron Elementary School today, in particular Tricia, who's the principal of Barron, and her team. You know, Barron has a special place in our heart because of its location in Plano, and you know, my wife taught there too. That doesn't hurt anything. But now that she's retired, we've got some more Barron teachers that are kind of engaged in working with Plano West Rotary. I'll let Tricia talk about that. I've been working along with Michelle and Glenn with Josh, who is one of the leaders at Barron from a community type engagement standpoint, and also work kind of with some of the students at Barron and their families and getting them support that they need. And we're happy to let Josh talk for a few minutes too. I don't want to eat up time, so Tricia and Josh, if y'all got any comments, that's great. And then we'll get around to presenting the check y'all here in just a minute.
Thank you, Steve. It's really an honor to be here. We're getting used to this Zoom world and seeing sort of this everyone's faces. It sure has been an interesting couple of weeks, to say the least. I'm finishing my 3rd year as principal at Barron, and that's where I was introduced. I've known Janice for a while, but I had the opportunity to reconnect with her when I came back to Barron. And one of the things that you hear about Barron all the time is Barron's a family. And you hear that from district, you hear that from the community, and they truly are. And just the fact that we're having this meeting is just confirmation of that. We're so fortunate to have such good, solid, strong community support who supports us in a variety of ways. I thoroughly enjoy my 9th in September when I get to come help at the Balloon Festival. I'm going to say by this year, I might even be proficient in funnel cakes and cleaning up. So each year I get a little bit better. So I'm really appreciative of Steve and the Laughtons and Michelle and everyone that comes to Barron, that has checked on Barron, that as we started this crazy time of this pandemic, emailed us to see what we needed, connected with Josh. So we're very fortunate, and please know that we're grateful and we don't take this support for granted. We're very hopeful that we're going to be back together in a building in August, because all of us that work at Barron joined this profession and are passionate because we want to be with students. So this has been hard. It's a very unique situation and a hard way to close out the year, but we're excited to get back as soon as it's safe, and we really hope and know that you'll be there to support us, and we'll continue this partnership. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. Josh?
Hi, guys. Yeah, so I just had the privilege of meeting with a handful of you guys last week, and just what a privilege it was just to hear about what you guys have been doing for Barron already, and just the plans and hopes for the future of what, how we can impact the school and the staff, but most importantly, our families and kiddos. And so it was just a great time meeting with Steve and Michelle and Phil, just talking about and kind of brainstorming some ideas for how we can work together in partnership together going forward. I don't know, something about that meeting just left me just really excited to see what what this partnership will be going forward. And my brain has been going nonstop with ideas of how we could work together in this going forward. Yeah. So thanks for having us here. It's so sweet.
Thanks, Josh. Just for everybody listening in, Barron plays a critical role in helping our club accomplish its goals too, of serving the community by being the primary team that staffs Balloon Festival for us, which we will hopefully be having this year. And hopefully there's also a fall semester in the school in Plano, which that hasn't been actually confirmed yet either. Who knows how this COVID stuff's going to go rolling forward. But I know the last several months of school has been really tough on y'all, and having to adapt on the fly and learning how to teach online instead of face-to-face, and how to take those lesson plans and stuff and do something with it. So we don't eat up too much time of the regular meeting today. Michelle, you got any final comments? Please. I'm in.
Well,
there you go.
As the Benevolence Committee Chair this year, I am so honored to present to Barron Elementary a check for $2,700. So this is our fake check, but we wanted to present it to you so that we have a chance to thank you for this partnership, and for, as everything Steve said and Josh said and Tricia, it's been a great partnership, and we love to help you when we can, and we know that you love to help us. So consider this a done deal, and we'll get the check in the mail this week.
I really
thank
like
you.
That one. That's so fun.
Yeah, I ordered that online.
I love it. So I really, that's going to be amazing to help our community, to help our students, to help the teachers, because we don't know what September will bring, but we promise you that that money will be used to make sure the students have the materials and the resources that they need. So thank you very, very much.
That's fantastic. Thanks a lot, Barron.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all are welcome to
Mr. Ball.
continue listening in to the rest of our meeting if you want. If you need to go on and do other things, we certainly understand. So back to you, Alex.
Don't leave anybody. Glenn, did you get our picture?
I did.
Awesome. So let's get one so everybody gets the opportunity to smile. We're going to take a picture of all with the big one. So everybody smile because you're going on our website.
Okay.
Okay. One more.
Cheese.
Got it.
Jeez,
Got
awesome.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Very
Thank you.
good. So all of our Barron guests, you are definitely welcome to stay. Like I said, we end at 1. We have a special guest speaker who's going to give us, I don't even want to give away her topic. I'm going to let, actually, Shirley, would you mind introducing when it's appropriate? Because you introduced us to her. And then we're going to do club business. We're going to talk about some club business activities after our guest speakers. So anybody from Barron, you're welcome to stay. If you need to run off, we understand. But with that, I'm going to turn this over to Shirley Hugh, who is a guest from Plano Metro Rotary Club, and she introduced us to our special guest speaker today. You're muted, Shirley.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you, Josh, or
Thank
whoever
you.
that was.
Thank you, Josh, whoever. Yes.
Okay, that's quite a surprise and quite an honor to introduce Dr. Wen Chen. And I guess I can announce the title of the speech today now, right? It is going to be about the human rights movement in China. And Wen Chen is an expert about all these human rights issues in China. We're going to learn a lot from her. And we're both Asian Americans. We both have been in the United States for a long time. For myself, it's been over 40 years. So I feel like I'm more American than Chinese. And I actually have been to your club. I've done a presentation as well, if you remember, about the Chinese show, Shenmin.
Yes.
Yeah, now you get to hear Dr. Wen Chen's speech. It's going to be a lot better than mine.
Thank you, Shirley.
You. Go ahead. Can we hear
Hello?
it?
Hello, everyone. I'm Wen Chen from California, and I'm a very positive person because I want to use the opportunity of, of all these remote meetings so that we can be connected, through the long distance. So I was born and raised in China, and I came to the United States in 1994 for graduate school. Actually, the first city I lived in the US is Dallas. I was a graduate student for UT Southwestern Medical Center. Have any of you been there? The Southwestern Medical Center, raise your hand. Hey. So yeah, I spent 1 year in UT Southwestern Center as a PhD student, and then I transferred to Caltech at Pasadena, and then I got my PhD degree there. I have been working for Caltech in the past 20 years as a scientific curator and software engineer. But there's one incident when I was a student here that made me interested in topics about human rights in China. That was in 1995. I was just started working in a lab, a biology lab in Caltech, and my American friends asked me about the Tiananmen massacre. I was a very brainwashed student at that time. I said there was no massacre because when the Tiananmen massacre happened, you probably remember the Tankman picture, right? I was shown on the Chinese TV station of dead bodies of soldiers, and we were told that the students killed the soldiers. And of course, the Chinese government told us that they never killed any students. So I was so brainwashed at that time, and it took me like 5 years to awake from this kind of brainwash. And after I settled in Caltech with my permanent career, and I had my family here with my daughters and husband, I decided that I want to devote some of my time to speak on human rights in China. And I'm going to share my screen now. okay, I'm not allowed to share my screen. Have you, Alex, can I share my screen? Or maybe I
Let me
can.
give you the ability to share your screen. I am going to, there we go. You should be able to do it now.
Still not able. So.
I made you a
Shirley,
co-host.
you made me a co-host? Oh, I still cannot share. Let me try again. But, Shirley, do you mind sharing the slides for me?
Well, let me make her a co-host. Okay, Shirley, you're a co-host.
Or maybe I can email you, Alex. I can also email you my slides. Because actually I emailed them to John last night, but I can also email them to you.
Let me see. John
Actually, I think John forwarded them to the board.
Alex.
Because I gave Shirley and Wynn co-hosts, so you guys have the same ability that we do. But let me see if I can find your slides.
But anyway, it's interesting that took me like 5 years to awake from this brainwash. You have to break one lie after another lie to find out what's happening. And eventually you realize that, oh, it's so unfair that I was brainwashed all my life. So I'm going to talk about human rights in China. Go to the next slide, if you can. So you probably have heard how Christians, and I only see part of the slide on the screen.
Oh, how's that?
Can everyone see the whole slide?
The T in movement is cut off for me.
Yeah, I think it's only part of the. Maybe you can make the window smaller.
It says. So, okay, let me try. I don't know what you guys are seeing. Okie dokie. Let me. What do you see now?
All the people.
Yeah. Yeah, we only see the people. I'm fine to speak without the slides, but it's so much better to see the images. But anyway, I'm just going to start my presentation. If you can find the slides in the middle, just share it. But otherwise, I can speak without the slides. You probably have heard how Chinese government persecute Christians and Tibetans. Oh yeah, this is great. Next slide.
It's working now?
No,
yes, it's working now.
Oh,
just go to the. Just go to the next. Hello?
I see your mouse. Is that your mouse moving around?
Actually, it's me.
Okay, good. Thank you. Because I don't know how to do screen sharing.
Yeah. So, but this group called Falun Gong, according to Amnesty International, is the biggest group persecuted in China. And in Chinese, it's also called Falun Dafa. So in Chinese, Falun means universe, Gong means energy, and Dafa means principle. And this is a very popular meditation practice based on traditional Chinese culture with the value, truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. Falun Gong is famous for its health benefits, and it's always spread for free because one of the guidance is that nobody should make profit from that. And these two reasons made it most popular among the world, like over 100 million people in more than 100 countries practice it. And also people practice in Dallas. Next slide. Next slide.
Okay.
Well, if you can make it fit the screen. But anyway, this works. So in United States, you see Falun Gong in many community events like parades. And next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. And also in many community events like a sports festival and the parks. And next slide, you will see next one. Next slide, please. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah.
Yeah, trying.
And yeah, the next slide shows the picture of a Chinese practitioner doing Falun Gong before the persecution started in China. It was very common to see hundreds and thousands of people in Chinese parks did this meditation before 1999, because that's when the Chinese government has not persecuted Falun Gong yet. And So, well, if you go to the view, if you can go to fit the page view, then you can basically
Yeah.
click them one by one. Yeah.
Slideshow, maybe from here?
I think it's on the view.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's slideshow. Yeah, much better. Great. See, that's how quickly Rotarians can learn stuff. Anyway, it was common in China to see people doing this meditation in many, many parks because it's great for health. And most of Chinese people do not have health insurance. So they always do some kind of meditation for better health. In 1999, the U.S. News and World Report published an article that China had 17 million people practicing Falun Gong. That's about 10% of Chinese population. And the article also said more people are joining Falun Gong than joining the Communist Party. I felt very nervous when I read about that. I said, wow, Communist Party always persecute independent thinking. My parents survived the Cultural Revolution in 1960s. That's when the Communist Party went to extreme. They shut down the whole school system and killed over 2 million intellectuals just because they think education can make you think independently. Falun Gong is just body and mind practice. It does not have a church or temple or registration, but still, it's based on traditional Chinese culture. It's independent from Communist Party's ideology. If you go to the next slide, please. So soon after that persecution started, Chinese government, in 1999, after that article was published, the Chinese government started a massive persecution towards Falun Gong. Millions of people have been jailed since then, and thousands of them were killed. And at any given time in the past 20 years, there are about 500,000 Falun Gong detained in China all the time. They are forced to do slave labor. That's why our American companies lost many jobs to China because China can use slave labor. And thousands of deaths were documented by international human rights organizations. And if you go to the next slide, I'm going to talk about the forced organ harvesting. Next slide, please. Another one. Yeah. And in 2006, a Chinese nurse came to Los Angeles. This is where I live. She held press conference. She said like her ex-husband was a military surgeon and he killed over 2,000 Falun Gong during the 3 years. And she said that's a state-sanctioned practice, like a Chinese government has been taking organs from Falun Gong for transplants. Next slide, please. And at that time, the reporters were so shocked that they thought they must do some research. So they immediately checked the websites of Chinese hospitals, and they found something very suspicious. We all know that in the US, it takes like years, like 3 years, 7 years, to wait until someone died from car accident who happened to have the same blood type match as yours and to do the transplant. But in China, almost every hospital promised that they can find donors within 1 to 4 weeks. And the very short waiting time suggests that they must have many, many donors in China. And you may think, hey, that's a big nation, car accidents all the time. But in reality, China does not even have a valid organ donation system. Chinese people for thousands of years believe in Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. And all traditional beliefs have one thing in common: they believe in reincarnation. So in our culture, death is just the end of one life cycle. And we are going to get together in another 20 or 30 years. We are going to meet our friends and family again. We're going to pick up our past relationships. So Chinese people really donate their organs, not even to their family members. According to Red Cross China, in the year of 2010, only 34 people in the whole nation donated their organs. But China performs about 100,000 transplants every year. Go to the next slide, please. And where are the donors? And in the past 14 years, I have seen hundreds of different reports or evidence about witnesses. Like there are patients from other countries going to China for transplant. Hospital workers in China said their hospitals were involved in this organ transplant from Falun Gong. At the same time, several hundred Falun Gong practitioners escaped China and came to the US. And they told reporters that when they were in detention, all of them had to go through systematic blood type tests and organ checkups. Every 3 to 6 months, they were checked. They were never told the results, and the doctors seemed only interested in body parts that can be removed for transplant. At the same time, in the very early stage, like in 2006, 2 Canadians did a third-party investigation. Go to the next slide. These Canadians, like they had a group of volunteers who can speak Mandarin. They called 15 major hospitals in China. They asked about how long they need to wait if they need to do transplant. And they also asked, like, you know, if I want the donors from Falun Gong because they don't smoke, they don't drink, and they have very healthy organ, can I have any donors like that? And if you go to the next slide, and you'll see the results. And almost every hospital promised that they can find the donors within 1 to 4 weeks, 24 hours at that time. And they said, you just need to come with cash. In 2006, you can download a price chart from this hospital's website about the body parts, and $30,000 for a pair of cornea, all the way up to like $150K for a new heart. And several hospitals openly claim that they can find the donors, and they can, like, you know, the donors of Falun Gong, and one hospital even claimed that they can replace for free. That's just unbelievable, because these are doctors. They are not supposed to kill others. And why do they kill innocent people? I'm afraid that we lost the slides. I lost the, can someone share the slides again? But anyway, let's come back to the topic. Like, you know, because in China, hospital doctors and the police officers, they have been brainwashed. Just like how I was brainwashed about the Tiananmen massacre when I was a student there. The persecution towards Falun Gong after it started, the Chinese government has been demonizing this group. Basically, they use all the state-run media, and you have to understand, China has no free media. Everything is controlled by the Chinese government. And the state-run media in China claim that, you know, this group make people crazy, they kill others, they kill themselves, let's get rid of them and make some use of their body parts. So the doctors killed innocent people without realizing they are people. It's just very much like during the Holocaust. Yeah, you can say on this slide. It's very much like during the Holocaust, regular Germans participated in the killings towards Jewish groups. And the same thing is happening in China in the past 20 years. And there are quite a few books and documentaries about this topic released. And according to one of these documentaries called Human Harvest, they interviewed several families in Taiwan about their experience of going to China for transplant. And one of the cases was a man, he went to China for kidney transplant for the price of $70,000. And because he had a very special tissue type, basically tissue type means like even if the blood type matches, they have to find the corresponding tissue type so that the donor's type organ can match yours. So he tried a total of 8 pairs of kidneys. Only the last pair worked because he had a very special tissue type. But this man died within 1 year. Organ transplant in China has a very low survival rate. It's just because the surgeries were done in poor quality and the aftercare was very bad. It's not surprising because these authorities, they can kill 8 people and give you the kidney for $70,000. They don't care how long you live afterwards. In the US, people usually live for another 20 to 30 years after transplants, and survival rate is 80 to 90%. But in China, according to some of the medical articles published by UCLA and Egypt, survival rate is below 50%. And if you go to the next slide, that's the low survival rate. Next slide, please. Yeah, the low survival rate is one of the reasons for many countries to pass laws to prevent their patients from going to China for quick surgeries and die. Israel passed a strict law in 2008 that their insurance company cannot cover any cost if patients go to China for transplant. And especially this whole nation, they are Holocaust survivors. So very few Israelis would go to China for transplant because they feel it's a shame if they do so. And Spain passed a strict law regarding this as a criminal crime. And Taiwan and Italy passed laws to punish brokers who introduce patients to China for transplant. And the United States passed a non-binding resolution in 2016 condemning organ harvesting in China. And many people ask me, like, how come our response? Yeah, you can move to the next slide again. Yeah, next slide. And another slide. Yeah. And like, you may be surprised because the Chinese government has been infiltrating to the United States to interfere with our local affairs. For example, like our elected officials has been pressured to remain silent towards what's happening in China. But at the same time, the Chinese authority has been spreading their propaganda in the United States. The Chinese government's mouthpiece, their TV station, can freely broadcast in the US. And the Chinese government's newspaper has been distributed by many mainstream media, from Washington Post to Wall Street Journal to Los Angeles Times. They have insertions of People's Daily or China Watch, and those were the contents came from China, controlled by the Chinese government, but they came together with the newspaper we subscribe to in the US. At the same time, Beijing has been actively trying to buy English media. For example, San Francisco Examiner is a major English newspaper in San Francisco. It was bought by a Chinese family with a close tie to the Chinese authority. And next slide, you will see how the Hollywood has been infiltrated by Chinese government. You know, Hollywood, we gain so much information from films. AMC Theater is the biggest cinema chain in the United States. It was bought by a Chinese company in 2012. The same company bought Comic Cinemas, another cinema chain in the US, in 2016. And they also bought a Legendary Entertainment filmmaking company. That's where the Jurassic Park was created. And once this entertainment industry belongs to a Chinese mother company, they must follow the Chinese government's rule about what kind of film they can create and what kind of film they can show. It's just almost impossible for Hollywood to make any movie touching the topic of human rights in China. And next slide shows Confucius Institute. It's a free Chinese program offered by the Chinese government to over 100 universities in the United States and over 500 high schools for Chinese education. They don't teach any Confucianism. They teach the Chinese Communist Party's version of Chinese history. For example, they block the topics about Tibet, Taiwan, Tiananmen massacre, and teachers are recruited from China. They must sign a contract that they cannot practice Falun Gong. And on this website of Confucius Institute, people found this history program about Korean War. Basically, it said Americans started the Korean War because Americans wanted to invade North Korea and then invade China. And that's exactly what I learned when I was a high school student in China. But we're talking about top universities like Stanford, like, many very, very good universities. Like you send your kids there and they get this propaganda from China. And next slide. And you can see like the Chinese government were able to do so much because they have money. And where they got all this money, and they are powered by trade. Ever since China joined WTO, the Chinese authority benefited the most from that because in China, like they can use slave labor, they can sacrifice the environment. They don't need to worry about pollution for profit. And the intellectual property theft, they can steal or take and force Western companies to give them the technology, and the Chinese government will give this technology to the competitor companies in China, and then go back and kick the Western companies outside and take the market. But the Chinese government, they got so much money from the trade, they are able to buy US media, to run Confucius Institute, and threaten our elected officials. And next slide shows the Western companies in China. And unfortunately, they did not play a very good role in China. Cisco helped China to build the Great Firewall on internet, to help Chinese authority to brainwash their people. And Yahoo gave the contents of Chinese journalists to the police officers. And then that led quite a few Chinese reporters and Chinese dissidents jailed for 8 years, 10 years, because Yahoo purposely gave their email contents. And next slide. And the US just started to take actions against this infiltration. Starting about 2 years ago, Department of Justice ordered 2 Chinese state-run media, Xinhua News Agency and also China Global TV Network, to register as foreign agents because they are not independent media. They are the mouthpiece of the Chinese government. And also, starting from last year, those universities running Confucius Institute can no longer get federal fundings for their Chinese education. And that's very fair, right? Because if they want to spread the Chinese government's propaganda, we should not use our taxpayers' money to sponsor them. And that worked very well. I think the recent news I heard is that University of California, Davis, they just announced that they would close their Confucius Institute. So about 40% of Confucius Institutes in the US are closing now. And next slide shows National Defense Authorization Act that we have to sanction the Chinese IT companies like Huawei and ZTE because all the hardwares are made in China. They have backdoor. They can steal our information and send the data to the Chinese authority. For example, I cannot use any cell phone made in China because otherwise all my contacts, all my email will be taken by the Chinese authority. And in the future, we're going to, most important is to take down the war on internet. And go to the next slide, please. And I'm going to talk about human movement in China because it's so encouraging. Next slide. Because ever since the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party took over China, they were always able to silence almost every group within and wipe them out within months. But Falun Gong was an exception because this is a group believing in truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. So according to their teachings, they must speak out when they see injustice. If you have been to China between 1999 and 2001, you would have seen this scene on Tiananmen Square every morning. Dozens or hundreds of people came to public with their little banner said in Chinese, truthfulness, compassion, tolerance. They just asked for their rights to meditate. And most of them permanently disappeared afterwards. But that scene lasting for 3 years awoke the Chinese society. Nowadays in China, many different groups, we're talking about thousands of different groups, would protest for their rights. But Falun Gong turned underground afterwards. They started to give away flyers to their neighborhoods. And outside of China, Falun Gong practitioners in the United States formed 3 major companies to write free softwares to help Chinese people to bypass the Great Firewall on internet. Nowadays, about 30% of internet users in China regularly bypass the Great Firewall. So Chinese people started the human rights movement in 2004. Next slide. China got its, next slide, please. China got its very first human rights lawyer. Oh, this is before, next one. Next and next. Yeah. We talk about human rights movement, and China got its very first human rights lawyer in 2005. And in 2009, we started to see Chinese people signing petitions. That's unbelievable. People not only signed petitions, they also left their thumbprint in red ink. That's Chinese tradition of signature. I sign my name, I put my thumb ink to show my true identity. We're talking about like 50,000. Tens of thousands of people signing hundreds and thousands of petitions like this. So individual risk is much smaller. And next slide, I'm going to talk about something really exciting. It's a trend of quitting the Communist Party. Communist Party runs very much like a mafia. They would identify the best teacher, the most successful businessman, the best student, and they force you to join. And you can't say no. If you say no, you get jailed for that. And after you join the party, you must pay the fee. You must go to all the activities to sponsor, to support the activities, and you can't quit. If you quit, you also get into jail. So in 2004, a group of volunteers in the US started a website, and Chinese people can send their statements across the Great Firewall with those softwares and post a statement on this website, say, I'm going to quit the Communist Party and its affiliated Youth League, that's for the high school students and young pioneers, and that's for the elementary school students. and then they get a digital certificate for quitting the Communist Party. And the United States Immigration Office recognized these digital certificates as official documents of quitting the Communist Party. I became a US citizen in 2013. When I was naturalized, I had to answer one standard question. Have you ever joined the Nazi, ISIS, or Communist Party? If the answer was yes, I can't be a US citizen. I must submit this digital certificate from that website to say I quit the party from that website. And that's recognized the official document of quitting the party. And on that website, I just checked last night, they had 562 million Chinese people quitting the party already in the past 14 years. And I found that very exciting because the similar trend was in Soviet Union for decades, like people were abandoning that, and then overnight, Soviet Union was gone. And I see the same trend in China. And I'm going to end my talk here. Please go to my last slide. I want to thank two websites, Stop Organ Harvesting for information about organ harvesting, and also the epochtimes.com. This is the biggest news outlet for uncensored news about China. So I got a ton of information from them also. Thank you very much for offering me the time to speak here. It's amazing we're connected, you know, even though I'm in another state. And I hope I can have a couple of minutes to answer your question. Yeah, thank you.
Wen, thank you, Ms. Wen Chen. Thank you very much for speaking. Unfortunately, we don't have much time for any questions because our meeting does end promptly at noon, and we have some other things we need to do prior to ending our meeting. And so what I would recommend everybody, if you have any questions for Ms. Chen, I'm going to post the email so that way you can ask her. But I do apologize, but we do have to adhere to schedule because a lot of people have to get back to work. And there's some things that we do need to cover before our meeting's over. But what I'd like to do, one thing that we do, which the amount, I'm going to need Glenn to verify, how much the speaker donation to Polio Plus. Glenn, Michelle just left. Can you unmute and discuss it? I don't know the details because I wasn't prepared.
So we turn in $10 to Polio Plus for each speaker, but that's matched by Bill and Melinda Gates and by the Rotary Foundation 3-to-1. So it ends up being $40 turned in your name to the Rotary Foundation to eradicate polio. And I forget the number, but that inoculates something on the order of 75 children or something like that against polio. And we're this close to eradicating polio. It's in Afghanistan and Pakistan are the only two countries, I believe, right now. So thank you again, Wen.
Thank you, Glenn. I apologize, everybody. I was just notified recently that I was running this meeting, so a lot of details I wasn't prepared to do, and we've been in a meeting prior to this. But Ms. Chen, thank you very much. We are gonna, Shirley, go ahead.
My apologies, because this is the first time I'm sharing screen. So, so in the middle of it, I don't know what happened. And I guess everybody probably saw my email came up. So it took me a while to finally figure out I should have shared just this application and not my screen. So next time I know. Sorry about that.
You did, but this was my first time attempting it. You did a lot better than me, so great job. And thank you for stepping up. Like I said, I apologize for not being prepared to do all this. So it's, you guys are seeing what happens when you wing it. What I wanted to do, Jim, where is Jim? Did he leave? He left.
No,
okay.
Jim's here.
Oh, there we go. Jim, finally, we've been, for the last couple weeks, you have been wanting to share with the club the results of your research so we can decide what our next steps will be on the service projects. And you've got about 4 minutes before we're going to do our 4-way test.
Well, it won't take 4 minutes because the two entities I'm pursuing, which is the Heritage Farmstead, I really haven't gotten very far with that because that's been shut down. and getting a spokesperson there has been difficult. I'm going to have to go over there physically and see if there's somebody there that can listen to our requests as far as helping them out, since everything I've done so far is over their web page. And so that's where we stand on that one. Now, from the Hope Center down on Custer and Plano Parkway, I discussed Rotary West with them, and they're supposed to be sending me some criteria on how they train volunteers and what it entails. I haven't received that yet, so I really don't have any more than that to report at the moment. I think they are under a Hope Center, I think, has cut back on individuals who are working there also due to the 19 crisis. So I think everybody's in a slow mode to respond and get back to us. But I'll keep pursuing it. As soon as I have something, I'll let everyone know.
Jim, for everybody on the call, can you talk about what the Hope Center does and what you're wanting our club to do for them?
Well, the Hope Center is kind of a conglomerate of individuals that work there under an umbrella to help different needs of the community and the county, meaning homeless or impoverished, people in need of food, people in need of transportation. It's kind of an umbrella like that. And what they'll do is they'll get volunteers like us, and what they do is have volunteers work half-day shifts, 3-hour shifts. And you can take a group like ours and take a 3-hour shift 1 day a week, and we can fulfill that with members. And what you do is answer phone calls, you take their paperwork, you coordinate pickups and drop-offs for people needing medical transportation and things like that. So we take a niche there and we pursue that and take a slot that we'd fulfill on a weekly basis to try to help out the Hope Center. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much what it is. And what they're going to give to me, hopefully, is some avenues we may pursue and certain niches that they need help in, and that we could take our 3-hour-a-week slot and service them with.
Excellent. And you're also pursuing how we can help them in the current COVID environment in a safe way as well, correct?
Right, which would take in medical needs and things like that. And they were going to get a report back to me, or a sheet back to me, or a mailing back to me telling me what's available that we could contribute to. So I'm awaiting that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. I know you've been wanting to share that with the club for a while. So, and also for other members, if you can identify needs in the community that we can help contribute to in a safe way, definitely do your research and get back with us and let us know, because, you know, we are Rotary and service above self is our motto. And just because we're stuck at home, social distancing doesn't mean we can't help like we've already been doing. Michelle, do you want to talk a little? There we go. Go for it. See, I read your mind there.
Yeah, so our Sign Up Genius is great. I sent out an email for us to basically make parts of the homeless lunches at home, and the signups have been great. I've gotten a lot of people signed up, so thank you. But we still need more sandwiches. Oh yes, thank you, Lisa. We still need more sandwiches created, and the instructions are kind of listed on the Sign Up Genius. So I'm going to send that out again. Last time I sent it as a Sign Up Genius from Plano West Rotary. This time I think I'm going to send it as a Plano West Rotary email with the link, in case your computer is taking the spam from the Sign Up Genius or whatever. So we need more sandwiches. And also, since we had a lot of signups, I spoke with the Street Side Showers guys and got a list of items that they would accept also, because the homeless people come take a shower there at the Collin County Assistance Center. So they can take a free shower there. And so there's some supplies for that: bug spray, razors, deodorant, foot powder, Q-tips, things like that are now also on the list that you can sign up. And then and then just either deliver them to me or I'll come pick them up from your house. And then we just need to deliver them Wednesday. We need to find out we need to confirm the time because they're looking at changing the time, but 11 or 1 o'clock next Wednesday. Thank you.
How are we doing on the adult diapers for the Wellness Center?
We've 3 people have already signed up and already purchased and shipped adult diapers to the Wellness Center. So
could we expand that as well? Because I know they need lots.
Well, yeah, there's 20. I put 20 slots.
Oh, did you?
So
okay.
Anybody can sign up to do that.
Just so you guys know, it kind of makes it easy to do that. If you find them Walmart, Amazon, whatever, instead of sending it to yourself, giving it to the Thorntons, just have them. I just had mine delivered directly to the Wellness Center. So it's just drop ship. Don't have to worry about it because they have, anybody who's ever taken care of a senior, they go through diapers endlessly. I mean, because I take care of my mom, so I know the need, and they just add up. So take a look at the Sign Up Genius from Michelle. We're supporting Wellness Center, street side showers for the homeless, and give, you guys. This is a way for all of us to contribute, while we're practicing safety. Well, with that, it is 12:59.
Hey, Alex, real quick, what size on the adult diapers?
Large.
Like if I get some from Sam's Club.
Large.
Should there be
Large.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some details on the Sign Up Genius now. If you go back up there, I've added it since you've been there, but you could see some info.
Great question, Lisa, because I had asked Joy directly on that. She said large, men and women. I got unisex ones. So with that, we're going to end our meeting with the 4-way test. We don't have a banner, but we will, everybody unmute, and we will recite the 4-way test, and then we will adjourn. Of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it a truth?
Is it the truth?
Second,
is it fair to all concerned?
Third,
will build goodwill and better friendships.
Fourth,
will be beneficial to all
concerned. Rotary. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Tricia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barron. We love you.
Thank you, Wynn. Thank you,
guys.
Shirley.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed day.
Everybody.